And away we go. And a good morning. It is raining yet again here in the Delaware Valley. I don't know, man. I really don't know anymore. I get it. It's not summertime, but it feels like somebody's playing a joke on us this year. The amount of rain that we have gotten. And, you just want to wake up, start your day with some sun shining and be able to go outside in that back deck and have a cup of coffee and then get your day started. But that has not been in the equation for these last couple of days here. Hopefully, it's a little bit better where you're at, Sean. But how we doing, sir?
Yeah, no, it's been up in the sticks of Lancaster up here right now, and it's been coming down strong all morning. So it looks like it's clearing up a little bit. So maybe a bit of a better day. I'm supposed to do a little mini golfing this afternoon, so hoping to fit that in. But right now the weather has not been promising.
I dig it. I dig it. All right, we got a lot to get to. Of course, all things NBA, all things NBA finals, a little bit of draft conversation, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And oh, yeah, a little preview for our Wheel of Misfortune coming up tomorrow for NBA Finals Game 3. Now, Sean and you and Sam got together yesterday. Great listen. We had that on the air yesterday at 5 o'clock, of course, and everything is podcasted at foxphlgambler.com. But let's go ahead and dive a little bit more into what you took away from game 2. And from my standpoint, I said this to start the show yesterday, and it's kind of where I'm at still today, just a day later. Why would it change? I haven't played a game. I just feel like I just felt like that there was no way OKC was losing that game. Number one, 11-point spread, a little bit different, but it felt like that OKC was just never going to take the foot off the pedal. And oh, by the way, I think you got to start mixing this into the equation. Like, how many more times can we count on the Indiana Pacers battling back down by 20? Like, I made the joke at halftime, like, oh, I wonder what they're saying. Wait, we've been here before. At what point does it get exhausting? Like the mental fatigue of like, dude, we're down 20 again. We got to do this again. And it felt like that was more so evident in game 2 than obviously it's easy to say it because they didn't come back. But that's where I was during that game. You know where I was before the game? I was saying, man, I don't trust OKC to give 11. You turned the ball over 25 times in game 1 and you lose that game. Like, dude, there's something demonic going on with the Pacers. But a little bit of gas pedal to the metal. OKC was not losing that game, A. And then B, Pacers were just like, dude, this is just ridiculous. Here we go again.
Yeah, I mean, the number one takeaway to me is for sure that the Thunder learned their lesson for needing to keep the foot on the gas for all 48 minutes against this team. I mean, the Pacers led for 0.3 seconds in all of game 1 and managed to come out with a victory there. They led for less than 2 minutes in game 2 and nothing after about midway through the first quarter there. So the Thunder really kept their foot on the gas. They utilized their timeouts whenever there was a little bit of momentum swinging. But we know that Oklahoma City is the better team. We know that defensively they can impose themselves, and they really made it clear that like they were not letting that game be opened up for the Pacers to have one of their miraculous comebacks. So we'll see what happens when the series returns to Indiana. The book's giving the most respect that they have to the Pacers to this point with a 5.5-point spread for game 3 there. Obviously, we've been significantly more up there for the first 2 games of this series from a spread perspective there. I do think that's a bit telling. If Indiana is going to grab another one, I do think it is game 3, and that's the direction I'm leaning for this matchup.
Yeah, look, Julian Edlow, I put this out yesterday. This is another moment in NBA Finals, NBA playoff run here that we're seeing a little bit of history in the conversation, and it doesn't do any favors for the Indiana Pacers, that's for sure. But trying to find Edlow's tweet from yesterday, but essentially here it is that over the past 25 years, teams that are road teams that were laying points in game 3. You don't see that often, of course. It's still pretty historic to be priced as a road favorite in game 3 of the NBA Finals. Only previous examples over the past 25 years, Durant and Curry's Warriors were favored in game 3 in Cleveland in 2017, 2018, won and covered both. Shaq and Kobe's Lakers were favored in game 3, Indiana, Philly, and Jersey, 2-1 straight up, 1-2 ATS. Thunder are 5.5. So here we go, man. Again, history staring at the Oklahoma City Thunder. And it's just crazy because, like, is it the fact that OKC is that dominant or the Indiana Pacers don't belong?
I think that Oklahoma City is that dominant is the full takeaway here. I still think the Pacers are still not quite given as much respect as they deserve from a pure team perspective here, but the Oklahoma City is the real deal. This is a straight up historic defense that can impose themselves, really limited the Indiana from getting anything kind of in their genuine flow of offense. They still haven't been able to push the pace or play at the tempo that they really prefer to, and I think that's been pretty clear, particularly in game 2. There was basically none of that from a fast break perspective there. So I do think the Thunder are the real deal. We're seeing this team grow up right in front of our eyes. They've obviously been very efficient and very calculated in the way that they've built out this roster with all the youth and all the draft capital that they did have there. And they still have all these other attempts and swings that they can take from movement forward. So this is going to be a team that's a problem for a long time, but they've arrived right now and are the gold standard for basketball, I think, for the next several years.
Yeah, that's troublesome to hear because it's the reality of the situation. You look at what they have as far as draft capital is concerned. You look at what they have currently on the roster as far as names. You look at what they have when you get a little bit more into the details as far as contracts are concerned. This team is set up for a few years to come. And look, like you said about growing up right before our eyes, I feel like we saw a different team in game 2. And I know we've watched a ton of it of Oklahoma City over the season. And then some, because it was a team that had a pretty good season last year as well. But, you had 5 Thunder players scoring in double figures, which is a little bit different than game 1. Guys that really took advantage or said that you need a little bit more, be aggressive. Guys like Chet. Of course, Williams didn't have the best game, but still, I thought from the jump, you saw a team that was a heck of a lot more aggressive than the Pacers.
Yeah, and Chet, I think, is the number one improvement there, that he really struggled in game 1, and they took away his minutes way more than I expected to be the case. He clocked 24 minutes in game 1 there, which is significantly below what his average there. And in particular, like Oklahoma City, not even did the sacrifice Holmgren in favor of Hartenstein, that they were playing the no center lineup for stretches there. I did think that was a mistake. Indiana out-rebounded them by 17 rebounds in game 1 there, and that obviously changed in game 2. I think that mostly is a credit to Chet for basically just stepping up and being the version of himself that we've kind of known to be the case at this point. That even in the early parts of this game, I thought that he looked a little rushed. I thought he looked a little uncomfortable. And I even got a little text from Mark Henry saying that the lights look a little bright for Chet Holmgren. I was kind of surprised for that to be the case, but credit to him. He settled in. I thought he was really effective in that second quarter, third quarter, and second half of that game, and made a huge impact for this Thunder team. So when Chet is playing his best basketball, you can make an argument he's the second best player on this Thunder team. They still haven't gotten that at that consistent of a level during this NBA Finals run, but he certainly made an impact in game 2.
Yeah, look, Chet, I thought could be the X factor again. Just we discussed this series every which way. To say that Chet Holmgren's an X factor is kind of, I don't know if that's the right definition for it, but just somebody that you thought could take a step up with all eyes on Shea. It don't matter. SGA is incredible, dude. He is unbelievable. To watch him play basketball is a privilege. For all those casuals that had an issue with this series, dude, there he is. There's your number one reason why you need to tune in, because he is delivering. The expectations are there. It feels like we always move goalposts. We know that. But it's like when we talk about these superstars and, LeBron this and, Kobe that, or Durant this, and modern day players. Dude, SGA came in with, they lost game 1 and you couldn't say anything because of his performance. What else could Shea do except for make that final shot? Other than that, the guy went off, and then he backs up and delivers with a point total of 31, goes over both days. This dude is insane. What are we talking about with SGA and his future? I mean, is there something he can improve on? Is the sky the limit for him? Where are we at with that conversation?
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly in a position where he can rake up quite an impressive resume, and he's already in the process of it. Obviously, winning MVP this year. He'll be the first player, assuming that the Thunder do go on to win a championship at this point, he'll be the first player since Shaquille O'Neal to win a scoring title and an NBA championship in the same season here. He obviously has a long-term supporting cast behind him with the guys like Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, and even the future draft picks still coming. Incredibly young here, and are going to be able to build around him forever. So the sky's the limit for what Shea can actually put together. But purely as a basketball player, I mean, his bag is so polished in the way that he gets to his spots. He has every shot in the arsenal there. He can hit it in every direction, every which way, get to whatever spot on the floor he wants to. And then defensively, he's probably the Thunder's worst defender. And he's still, I would argue, within the top 50-ish defenders in the NBA. He's that like the real deal on that side of the floor. And I thought against Halliburton, he was particularly excellent in game 2. He had a couple of strips whenever Halliburton was kind of snaking the lane and trying to attack the paint a little bit. So SGA sets the tone on both sides of the ball for this Thunder team, and having a star that you can't just single out is so advantageous from a team standpoint. Think about what other hurdles teams like the Knicks had to, juggle when you have a guy like Jalen Brunson or Karl Anthony Towns. Or you can go down the list of how many stars James Harden we've seen. Like, how many stars can't hold their weight on the defensive side of the ball? That is not the case with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander whatsoever. He sets the tone in that area too, so could not be more impressed with the way that he's really put everything together from a career perspective.
72 points through 2 games. He has the most points ever through 2 games in the NBA Finals by a player making his finals debut. I think when we're talking about removing the finals debut, I think it's AI and Kobe, or no, Jordan it was MJ, because the ESPN had it. That's what it was. It was AI and MJ as far as most points through 2 games in NBA Finals history. It's just, like, he's incredible. He is absolutely worth the price of admission. He's living up to the billing, the hype, and then some. 36 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, 5.5 assists. You can't stop him, Sean. Like, you hope that he misses. And even then, if he misses, it feels like those guys are going to hit the rebounds down low, although it didn't happen in game 1. All right. So, yeah, we don't need to spend too much time as far as who's the MVP of this series.
Yeah.
I guess the question I would have is, even if they lose, he might still win.
Numbers wise, you can make the case. Even Carlisle after last game was like, you can just pencil him in for 34 a game, which is crazy in an NBA Finals setting there. But that's the story with Shai there. So, I mean, I don't think they would do that if the Pacers find some miraculous way to win this series. That I would guess there's some pretty heroic performances on the part of either Tyrese Halliburton or Pascal Siakam or whoever else may be the man to step up there. But, yeah, I mean, from a Thunder perspective, there's pretty much no doubt that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the head of the snake, and both from a straight-up impact standpoint and sort of a symbolic standpoint for what he means for this team, being kind of this era of Thunder basketball, the clear face of it. I do think it's important for him to be recognized as such. So, yeah, he will be a lock for MVP in this series.
All right, you know who my runner-up MVP is if we took SGA out of the conversation? And I feel like I'm styling like him these days. You were about to say it.
Yeah, Alex Caruso.
You're damn right. You're damn right. That boy is balling.
Yeah.
And look, there were a few times in that game that from a point spread perspective, let's just talk about it in that manner. Like, they were never losing the game, but it was 11.5. It was 11-point spread. There was one moment where it was 17. There was another moment where it was kind of like 19, 18-ish, whatever it was. And Caruso hit 2 open 3-pointers, right? It felt like the Pacers kind of defended a little bit differently. And maybe to a point, the Pacers were a little bit heavy legs, or not heavy legs, but like lack of desire to a point. Like, there were moments that they had some wide open 3-pointers, OKC did, and it was just like, dude, you got to get out there. Like, this is the NBA Finals, and these guys are going to knock them down. And credit to Oklahoma City Thunder, they did hit those shots, and that's why that 20-point lead never went away. It never dissipated, and that's why they won. Credit to Alex Caruso, though. Again, I know I said a lot there. Caruso is my runner-up MVP right now at 20 in game 2.
Yeah, I do think we saw a little house money defense in the second half of game 2 there that I think the Pacers, they recognized as such that you can't view it any other way than it being a massive win for them to split that series for the first 2 in Oklahoma City there. It would have taken a really special effort for them to be able to go up 2-0 against this Thunder team, and obviously that did not prove to be the case. As far as like how they're defending, it's kind of interesting. Like, Indiana throughout this playoff run has really like committed to the concept of, we're basically going to live with the stars are going to get theirs for stretches. We saw Jalen Brunson put these ridiculous shot totals off. Donovan Mitchell and the same thing during that Cavaliers series, him averaging over 30 points per game across that. But the reason that they kind of live with that is they're not allowing what a guy like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander typically does best, which is attack, draw multiple defenders, and collapse the entire defense. When you then have a defense sort of running on its heels, where you're spinning around the perimeter, creating open looks, that's where a defense sort of fully falls apart. And that's what the Pacers have done a nice job avoiding. I thought they did a far better job of that in game 1 than was the case in game 2 there. And like Shai obviously was still the head of the stake from a scoring perspective, but it did feel like there was more that he made. I mean, he went from 3 assists in game 1 to 8 assists in game 2 as sort of an example of this. So I think the Pacers need to get back to what got them there, and sort of you're going to have to live with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander getting his numbers, but don't let these open looks for the Alex Carusos, the Isaiah Joes, the Aaron Wiggins, the Jalen Williams, these guys will all punish you, so don't give them the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, they shot 35% from downtown, the Pacers did. It just had that vibe, especially in the second half. It was like, all right, we're going to keep it moving here. And look, even if they played their A game, even if they brought it, I still didn't think that they were winning that game. So we'll see what happens as far as moving forward. We will discuss that here. Anything else from a game 2 perspective that you want to get off your chest at this point in time? Anything that you're taking from the first 2 games and applying it to game 3 from a points, from a player prop perspective? Is there, Toppin, I know people were talking about, and I feel like people get enamored by the lower numbers. They're like, oh yeah, that's capable. A guy like TJ McConnell is definitely somebody that has my attention because McConnell continues to get those minutes, especially if it's late in games and they're losing. So he's not scared to drive to the basket, and he's very shifty and quick. So I respect it when it comes to players like that. I understand why you would target some of those players, but I feel like we get trapped a little bit too much because, it's only 9.5. He can get there. No, is it a good play? Don't take it just because it's a lower number and it's obtainable if it's a blowout. No, like I want to know whether or not Pascal Siakam's going for 20 plus. Is Halliburton going to finally get it going? He's at 17.5.
Yeah, I mean, Pascal Siakam is where my head continues to go. I want to see more from him in these playoffs, and he still hasn't been in like full aggression mode the way that I hope to see. I do think we'll get at least one Pascal Siakam game in this series, sort of like last round where he popped off for 39 in a matchup there. I think that's coming. He hasn't been in full aggression mode, and I think game 3 might be the spot where that is the case. Just from a matchup standpoint, I still have my doubts about Halliburton. 17.5 is a little bit too low for me to rock the under there. I have written about it in games 1 and 2 that was where my head went, that they just have so many different defenders they can throw his direction. I think he has a really hard time with sort of the increased physicality from players like Lou Dort and Cason Wallace and Caruso that really get under the skin there. So I'm sort of avoiding the Halliburton conversation, but Siakam's where my head goes, that I do think game 3 is probably the spot where he can kick it into gear. He just hasn't played in attack mode. His number's sitting at 18.5 or 19.5 typically there. I think he clears that when we get his first 20-plus point performance in the series.
All right. Also from games 1 and 2 in Oklahoma, crowd was rocking, blue shirts, pretty cool. The floor. Let's talk about the graphics. Let's talk about the details. Let's talk about what is going on.
Hot topic.
Yeah, it is a hot topic. It is weird. And they went out there and superimposed. Like, that's first and foremost, it starts and ends there. The conversation starts and ends there because of the fact that they can sell the advertisements on the floor. YouTube, there was another bank. These are huge deals that are rolled into. So I guess less is more from that perspective. League working together with ESPN, whoever broadcasts, and says, hey, blah, 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 blah. This is, going to be too much. We need to open the floor up for the opportunity that we can put our graphics there. I get it. Money talks. But there are people going like, dude, you guys put way too much effort into the in-season tournament. And then when the NBA finals come around, like, there's zero creativity. Like the lack of creativity is very evident to the naked eye, to a casual fan. And then you compare it to back in the day, and it's just like they're missing the mark on it. So I think I'm glad that they understood and they hear it, but there's going to be no change. And I'm definitely not a fan of the superimposed trophies on the floor. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, the NBA is very clearly to me the easiest league to bully from a fandom perspective there, because that is all the conversations were in game 1. If where's the trophy? How horrible is this? And then they obviously superimposed it for game 2. They also released a statement about our fear for player safety, and that's why there's no, something put down on the court, which is just insane there. Like, we've seen this on so many occasions. The in-season tournament, a prime example. Like, you put stuff on the court, so it's just an excuse there. But yeah, I mean, I'm not as fired up or as passionate about it as a lot of people, but I would prefer if there was a trophy, and do think it's crazy they're kind of running from it.
All right. As always, we take questions, comments, and concerns from anybody that wants to tune in and join us here Rob checking in. Anyone feeling a Joel trade with the Bulls for Vooch, Zach Collins, Hoyter, and the 12th pick, all expiring contracts? If a Joel trade happens, I'm thinking the Sixers select the big man from Duke, Malawak. Let's just start with this. It can't happen. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't see
one.
anywhere else.
Two is, Rob, all love and respect. Are you trading for Joel Embiid, Rob? Rob, you're the general manager of the Bulls. Are you trading for Joel Embiid? Come on, man. Why? He can't play. He hasn't shown you anything. He played 30. How many games did he even play in 30 games? And all of a sudden he got the surgery, and now you're going to go ahead and trade for them. And oh, by the way, give up all that. Like, the Bulls aren't anything to write home about. But no, man, put yourself in the general manager's shoes from the Chicago Bulls. That's a trade that's not happening. And I don't believe that can happen because of the contract, correct?
I would have to do the math on each of these. I think we're in the vicinity.
I'm talking about Joel Embiid. Can Joel Embiid be traded?
He can be. He legally can be. That was all of last season. He was eligible because of the extension. As of this summer, like, he legally can be. I don't see anywhere where it happens for the same reason that you just mentioned, like the injury concern and everything. All these other teams see the same exact situation that the Sixers are dealing with here. I will say, and I don't think we're there yet, but if we were to get to the spot where, like, the relationship is completely shattered, there is no future with Joel Embiid, I do think it is a team sort of like the Bulls that would be willing to take that chance. Even a team like the Wizards or something like that, that it's like, we'll roll the dice, we'll bring some excitement. I don't think we're there yet, though, by any level of it.
Well, we're not there from a Wizards or a Bulls perspective, correct? Like, it starts there. Joel Embiid can't play. Why would I trade for a player that can't play?
I think if this were to happen, the conversation starts with Joel Embiid saying, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, he's still, like, you still got to kind of treat him as your guy. You're financially committed to him for 4 more seasons.
Do you think a team would trade for Joel Embiid?
Not remotely in the ballpark of what he's worth, but just yes or no, would a team take him? I think probably still.
Yeah, and then it gets into the conversation of, like, hey, man, if you are the 76ers, are you just trying to dump him? Like,
right. Which is where that's where the conversation stops to me, is like, when you think about how Daryl Morey views a trade here, like, obviously you want to maximize your assets here, and you're certainly selling at the low point on the Joel Embiid conversation, as low of a point as I honestly think we could get to. So I don't see anywhere where it happens, largely because of that, because the best case scenario of what you could possibly get out of Joel Embiid if things break right next year is so much higher than what anything you could possibly get in a trade return.
Yeah, you're right, I guess. And Rob, thanks for bringing it up. I guess if Joel Embiid did come out and say, that's something I'm not factoring here. If he did come out and say, I'm out, it's time for me to move on, I need a new spot. Like, the fans are sour on me. I've played here. I've given it my all. I want to try a new place. Okay, that's a different discussion. But I don't believe Joel Embiid is saying that. A. B, Joel Embiid just got a brand new deal. We've seen superstars say, like, you know what, it's time for me to go, and the deal or no deal, whatever. So it wouldn't be a shock. I just think Joel Embiid's a different case. He's just a different monster when it comes to this discussion. And the Sixers view him, whether they're right or wrong, or you want to agree, they want to keep him in a Sixers uniform for the rest of his career. Yeah. They don't want to ever let Joel Embiid leave. And, you know, if Joel Embiid can play, I'm all for it. But if he can't play, then I think you have to eventually look to do something different. And maybe in your world, Rob, we are right and I'm wrong. I just, if I'm a NBA general manager, there is no way I'm trading for Joel Embiid right now. And then I guess the fine line too with that would be, so if he plays 30 games, am I trading for him in the trade deadline? I don't think the Sixers would make that move at the trade deadline. If Joel Embiid's healthy, plays 30 games, they're not going to trade him. I don't know. It's an interesting discussion.
You seem more negative on the injury outlook than I think I've heard you before. What's your honest prediction for what we get out of Joel this season?
You know what I said last year. And who was right?
Sure.
Okay, then. And I still feel he is a big dude that has bad knees, bad legs, lower bottom problems. It's not a good equation at this point in time. And I don't think anything is going to change. And you can spare me on the Sean Livingston. You can spare me on whoever else. Joel Embiid is a monster compared to those guys. He's just a massive human being. And, I just don't, I have zero positive. I have very little positive feelings about this upcoming season with Joel Embiid when it comes to health. I just think it's going to be more of the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to argue it. It's not like I'm super 10 toes down that I'm hoping for or expecting a full bounce back season. I think it's fair to assess like the MVP version of Joel is probably come and gone to this point. I still think there's a world where he can be like a productive NBA player and a very important to winning on this Sixers team. It all starts from a health perspective that he physically has to be out there and moving around correctly. That to me was probably the greater concern than even the lack of availability last year is like, what the biggest thing that I took away from my concern is what has been true throughout his career is regardless of the other four guys around him, if Joel Embiid's on the floor, you're going to have a top 10 defense. That was not the case last year. That he was not able to anchor the defense, protect the rim, move on the perimeter in the same way. And if that stuff is not coming back, that's when I begin to hit the panic button there. We'll see. He got another surgery. We can only hope for the best. He's had plenty of time to rest this summer, but yeah, I mean, that ultimately will sink or swim what the outlook is for this season and the next couple of years, really.
Yeah, that's just not good. It's not a good recipe right now in my mind that a lot revolves around him. You know where I stand. I want to just hand the keys over to the boys. Let's go. Get me Grimes back. Get me Grimes back in the Sixers uniform. I want McCain to take that next step. I want Maxey to be a focal point. Paul George is 35 years old. If Paul George can play, come on, baby, let's go. I want, Joel Embiid. If you can roll and you can give us 35 games next year, come on, big dog, let's go. But the focus needs to be on those guards. And I'm not talking about winning an NBA Finals. I'm not talking about winning NBA Finals with Joel Embiid and Paul George. I wasn't last year, and I'm certainly not doing that right now. I just want to be competitive. I want to have fun watching this team. I want to be able to get home and tune into a game without wanting to put my head through a television like I did last year. That's where I'm at. The bar is low. And for all Sixers fans that want to sit there and say, like, it's got to be a championship or bust, like, dude, are you watching? Are you watching? Do you not see the difference when you see Oklahoma City, when you see Denver, when you see the Knicks, when you see, like, the Celtics, who will be without Tatum, the Cavs? Like, we are so far away from those teams. It's not even like fun to discuss. So
I don't think as far.
Oh, come on!
Like, realistically, they're gonna be a playoff team next year. They absolutely will be a playoff team next year.
How?
Look at the East.
All right. What's a playoff team?
Like, they'll be a top 6 seed.
I know, but everybody makes the playoffs. Do they win a series?
It depends on the matchup. It depends on a lot of these same factors we just talked about. Like, and for your message about like the youth, I think the organization has already done this to an extent. Like, the focus is very clearly
good.
They've quietly built up a very nice young core in a way that I think like people have to give them a little bit more credit. Jared McCain, Tyrese Maxey, Quentin Grimes, Justin Edwards, Adem Bona, whoever they're going to draft with this third pick or whoever they walk away with in the draft. This is a nice start to like the next generation. And that's why I think they were doing a draft over on the Ringer of worst situations from a franchise perspective. They ranked, and this is some Sixers hating stuff at its core for sure, the Sixers dead last in this. I think you take away Embiid's situation completely, and I'm still feeling better about the Maxey, McCain, Grimes, the third pick. Then, like, take a look at the Brooklyn Nets or the Chicago Bulls, who we just mentioned here. You feel great about your direction there. The Wizards, you can go down the list. I think the pendulum has swung a little bit too far on just the skepticism of the Sixers organization, that there is kind of a future plan beyond just all the eggs in the Joel Embiid basket.
Good. It has to be. And I don't know if who will be making those decisions. I assume Daryl Morey is in good faith right now with Josh Harris, and they like him, or else they probably would have moved on from him. But then again, he made all these deals, so he's the right guy to get out of this. I don't know. We'll see how this one plays out. I do know this much. If next year turns out anywhere like this year did, everybody's got to go. Everybody's got to go, and everybody will go, right?
Yeah, no, that'll 100% happen. I do think that they showed some nice leniency to give Daryl one more season here, and I see you chuckling at our guy Danny Small's comment. Well done here by Danny.
Yeah, that's a good one, Danny. Nice work by you. That's all I'll say on that one. Nice work by you. Yeah, he's right. He's right. As I did see the Hawks signed or hired somebody from the Sixers. I was cracking up.
Peter Dinwiddie.
What do you know about him?
I don't know much about him, to be honest. I know he's referred to as a little bit of like Daryl's right-hand man and a guy who has got some respect within the organization. Quite a bit of turnover inside the Sixers facilities. Even while we're speaking about sort of the key faces being like still kept in place, there's been a lot of changes on a ton of personnel. So I think that's at least worth noting in this conversation.
Yeah, we talked about that last time we went live last week, where there was a tweet that slid underneath the radar from Keith Pompey, and they got rid of a lot of people in-house. And
yeah.
Look, there was some leaks, and if people are going to leak stuff, and like I put myself in that perspective I put myself in those shoes, and I try to have the perspective from being in the house, where the confidentiality about health of my players is number one,
right?
And and somehow or another, people are finding out Joel Embiid this and the team meeting that, and it's like, wait a minute, man, like we got a problem. We got a rat, and I'm not going to turn this into The Departed here, trying to figure out who it is. So it sucks, but I respect it at the end of the day, because you got to keep that stuff in house, because that stuff definitely will wreck a locker room, A, and make life more difficult, B. And we're
very well
seeing...
did both those things last year.
Yeah, exactly. All right. We got a lot to discuss as far as the NBA is concerned. I want to get some thoughts as far as the draft is coming up and anything changing on the horizon there. But NBA Finals Game 3, once again, tomorrow night, we will be live. The Gambler Gang will be live from the Gambler Lounge, we're calling it, formerly known as the Duncan Lounge. And we're going to change things up. So my goal was to create, with everybody involved, Sean and the Gambler Gang included, was to create a little bit more of a emphasis on the now. When we do these live wagering shows, it's great. You're watching the games with us. We're getting involved. We're going back and forth. Cool. But I felt like we were missing the mark of like, how can we turn this into a fun show that's different, that the bets are made then and are paid off now, right? And one of the ideas we came up with was, let's slow things down. Let's keep it. Let's make it more fun for the people that are watching, and let's have some sort of structure to it. So the payoff, they will know, the viewer will know when it's coming. So with that, we created the idea of the Wheel of Misfortune. And the Wheel of Misfortune is simple. On the wheel, there will be about 16 total bets, repercussions that you will pay off to a losing wager. Now, it could go from one of them. I'm not going to give them all away now, but one of those bets on the wheel is the loser of this bet has to talk like Stephen A from the rest of the game. One of them on the wheel is a nasty. It's probably the most disgusting one on the wheel. Do you like the Stephen? I like the Stephen A. Stephen A is funny.
Yeah. I'm hoping somebody like with good, like I think Sam Ostrich could probably kill that. That's my vote there.
Hysterical.
Yeah.
Sam has to talk like Stephen A. And that's it. That's point blank for the rest of the game. So it could happen in the first quarter. It could happen in the fourth quarter. Hopefully, whatever. Hopefully that is one. One of the nasty ones, there's only like a few that are like, oh man, am I going to throw up? Is the mystery smoothie. So we go to the iHeartRadio fridge, which is locked, or which is stocked, excuse me. And we took 3 ingredients, and I picked them out yesterday. I will make the smoothie tomorrow, so it'll be fresh, but it's disgusting. A little bit of ketchup, we'll just say that. Little ketchup, little creamer. Now we're already talking. Plus a little third mystery ingredient coming. So that's going to be fun. And then I'll give you one more from the exercise component of the board, of the wheel. And it's a burpee bet. And if you don't know what a burpee bet or burpee is, a burpee is you jump up and then you hit the ground, push up, back on your legs. That's one. And you have to do a burpee for every point. So there's a chance that somebody gets that at the end of the first quarter and has to do 80 burpees. And let me tell you, if you have to do 80 burpees over the course of 3 hours, what you're going to feel like the next day, it's going to hurt. It's going to suck.
Getting fit. We're getting fit out here.
Getting fit, baby. Let's go. That's what we do with the Gambler Gang. So look, there's 16, I think, bets or repercussions on the board. So we're going to have some fun. And then how we're going to figure out who's who and what's what. We're going to have a box of bad beats, all the names in there, who's going to be participating. Boom. You pull your name out. You're going head to head. Let's say we pull Sean Barnard 1, Sean Brace 2. We're going head to head. I pulled Sean Barnard's name first. He picks the category. Let's say Sean says Shea's points, 31.5. The guy who the second person picked now has to choose between over or under. So I'm going to take the over on that one. Sean is now locked into SGA's under, so he's hoping he rolls his ankle. And, of course, we're going to have some fun with that. We're going to do it more so on the quarter perspective, but there will definitely be game wagers as well. And we're going to have some fun. It's going to be stupid. And the payoffs will be there happening on the stream. That's the best part.
Yes. Yeah, I'm very excited for tomorrow. It's going to be – it could go really bad. It could go really poorly for any one of us as well. So we're going to have trash can ready. We're going to have to be strapped and see how things shake out there. But, yeah, I'm fired up for the game and think this is going to add some really cool layers to it.
Also, we're going to have to put our sportsbook hats on too as well, because those bets, as a group, we're going to have to say, okay, second quarter starting. Not all those lines are available.
That's true.
So if somebody's going to say, you know what, like I want points for Pascal Siakam this quarter, us as the group, the Gambler Gang, going to have to set a number. Okay. So we got to think on the fly. We got to do that. We got to think on the fly. And again, at the end of the day, we'll know what's a fair number or not. It's going to be a tough number. 9.5. Okay, well, let me see. It might be over on that one. So, but it's going to be fun. We're going to act up. Going to be stupid. All streaming on socials at Fox PHL Gambler. Once again, live from the Gambler Studios tomorrow. And tip-off is at what, 8 o'clock tomorrow?
I believe so, 8 o'clock. And I will say I'm hoping the Amazon trucks speed up a little bit, as I have an article of clothing that as of yesterday was projected for a 9 p.m. arrival tomorrow. Got to get here in time. So hopefully the rain didn't slow them down any.
Actually, 8:35. So we got an 8:30 start time. So we'll probably go live about like 8:10, 8:15. Go over the rules, spin the wheel a few times, have some fun. And then we're live, baby. Gambler Gang in the building for all things Game 3. With that being said, where are you at right now? 5.5, OKC or the Pacers?
I'm riding with the Pacers money line. Is where my head's at right here. Wow. I think if they're going to get another one, it's going to happen Game 3, and that's how I think plays out. But I do think it is Thunder in 6, and I think Indiana steals another one here. So with the home crowd behind them, I think it's going to be pretty unbelievable in that building. There certainly will be some passion from the fan base and energy in the air. And I still think that we haven't had a game where things have gone fully right for this Pacers team. Even Game 1, which they won, they really struggled and didn't play their best basketball. So I think this is the game where things click a little bit with the home crowd behind them. They're able to get out and transition a little bit more, push the pace, run the fast break. I like the over, and I like the Pacers on the money line for Game 3.
All right. Great stuff, Sean Barnard. We do have a lot to discuss when it comes to all things Game 3. We will be hitting on it a lot tomorrow on the Daily Ticket, and, of course, today as well. I do know this much. The Wheel of Misfortune is going to be rolling tomorrow, so make sure you tune into that. Tell a friend. Nobody's doing what we're doing. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be stupid. A lot of people are going to be in the building. Oh, by the way, a potential special guest who, oh, by the way, is like, I don't know, one of the coolest dudes I can think of in the music industry. Philly Cat. And like from a DJing perspective, shout out to Ryan Beef Coil, Beef Up Front, DJing on Saturday. You coming?
I can't swing it Saturday, unfortunately. I know.
You came last year. You can't come this year?
Yeah, DraftKings.
Boo. Come do that. Come on, man. I got internet.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. Probably not, but.
All right. Well, yeah, Beef Up Front. From a DJ perspective, I love this dude. I love everything about this dude. And then all of a sudden, somebody hits me up and says, yo, such and such might be in the building. And I told him about the watch party. He might want to swing by. I go, yo, he's got an open chair. So just tune in. You don't know what you're going to see tomorrow night for the Wheel of Misfortune. And that's another rule, too. Whenever we say it, everybody's got to say it together. Wheel of Misfortune.
I like it. Yeah, we won't spoil the name and hope this comes together, obviously. But, yeah, this would be something pretty special and one that is worth tuning in for sure.
You know, if dude rolls through, it would just be insane. I think that this is going to be insane no matter what. But if dude rolls through, it's definitely going to raise things up a little bit. So
Yeah.
we'll see. And it's a realistic possibility. A realistic possibility. So looking forward to that. Shout out to Buster from Q102. He's going to be hanging with us tomorrow. We're going to be rolling deep, man. So tune in. Once again, we'll be starting about 8 o'clock live on the Gambler stream. YouTube from the Gambler Lounge. Wheel of Misfortune. All right. Final thoughts, Sean Menard, wrapping it up.
Can I hit you with one more before we get out of here?
Yeah.
Jason Kidd. A lot of buzz about this Knicks conversation. I had a little back and forth with Sam Ostry, and as you might expect, we don't see eye to eye on the Knicks conversation here. If you're just a normal head coach, we can take Jason Kidd out of this as an example here. Which roster would you rather coach next year, the Knicks or the Mavericks?
Why Jason Kidd?
From the Knicks perspective, I think because it's a sexy name and they just kind of want to make a splash here. I think Jason Kidd's a fine head coach. I don't think he's like anything super special here.
I like Jason Kidd.
Okay. I mean, and clearly the Knicks do as well. I don't really see the full vision of them going this direction, but I once again think if I am in Jason Kidd's shoes, I think I would prefer to coach this Mavericks team next year.
Yeah, look, when you bring it up and you have to weigh it out, I don't know if one's weighing more than the other because I think there's positives on both sides. The Knicks are in a weak East. The Knicks are in a weak East. No Tatum next year. You're playing at the Garden. You got Brunson, who's an absolute stud. It's fun to be a Knicks fan right now. It would be fun to be a Knicks coach. To leave Dallas with the overall #1 pick.
Cooper Flag, adding to a healthy Kyrie and hopefully a healthy Anthony Davis and the size that they have. I just feel like Dallas, there's more of an opportunity to grow, less must win. Now, all eyes are on that general manager, not on you, the head coach. That could change in an instant, though. I would stay in Dallas. Got to an NBA Finals. Again, healthy Kyrie. Klay Thompson's still there. Like, that's a good team. That's a good team when healthy. Can you count on them? No. But, man, to go coach the Knicks, that'd be a lot of fun. Like I said, I don't think like, oh, man, Dallas is this much better. No, I think it's pretty even, Sean. Like, I could talk myself in to coaching the Knicks. That would be an awesome gig. But I'm probably staying in Dallas if I'm kidding. Yeah, I think they're somewhat close for sure, but I don't think it's like the Knicks is that much better of a job that I would uproot myself from a pretty good situation that he's in. Like Cooper Flag certainly changes the game on this entire conversation pretty notably here. And let's also note, like you'd be signing up to now go coach for an organization that just fired their head coach after their most successful season in 25 years. Like that leaves a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth if I'm Jason Kidd there. So I don't know. I think if we're just going roster for roster right now, you're right about the East being weaker, obviously, but just like a pure like peak what this team could get to, I could see the Mavericks very much being a championship contender next year. And I think like to walk away from that would be something pretty crazy.
I'll tell you what, if the East is so weak, Brace, Sixers better make the playoffs.
That's what I'm saying. That's my point. My optimism for there being a playoff team is way less rooted in like straight up belief that Joel Embiid's gonna be healthy. It's way more like how many wins are the Bulls gonna get? How many wins are the Hawks gonna get? How many wins are the Heat gonna get? Like the Sixers are gonna be in that mix.
But the problem is with Joel Embiid around and he gets hurt, like it takes the team down a path that they cannot allow to happen next year. They just can't. And I don't know how you avoid it. I don't know how you avoid that. I really don't. Like, unless Tyrese Maxey ultimately becomes the dude that, like, some are saying is possible, but very, very minimum. Like, I think Tyrese Maxey can continue to grow, but I don't know if he can become that guy. I just feel like, man, Joel Embiid's going to step on that floor, and then it's going to be all about the big man, and he's going to miss time, and then it's going to be more about the big man. It's just like, here we go again.
Did you think Jalen Brunson could become that guy? Because I didn't. I certainly did not think he could take this type of leap. I think I'll stick to this take, and it looks horrible after this year, but I think Tyrese Maxey, there's a world where he can grow to a better basketball player than Jalen Brunson.
Well, that's on brand for you, Sean. I would just say But what we know now with Brunson is incredible, dude. He's a freaking closer.
Well, let's not forget how Tyrese Maxey was talked about 12 months ago here. It was bad season. Everything went wrong. And Maxey, the least
And
of the problems.
he had his moments where you're like, all right, I see it, Tyrese. He had a
Correct.
sluggish start, and it wasn't up to where we needed to be. It wasn't that bad, but you're right. I just feel like everything came from him as a snowball last year.
Definitely. And I think Maxey's like the least of those problems here, that you can point to Paul George, you can point to Joel Embiid, you can point to a ton of things that did go wrong. And Maxey certainly wasn't perfect last year. He had his rough stretches, definitely. But there was also a stretch midseason where he legitimately looked like one of the best guards in the NBA. I think he's going to be back on that path full time starting this year. And that everyone, last season will serve as a little bit of a wake-up call to everyone there. So I'm not selling any Tyrese Maxey stock is my only message here.
Me neither. Me neither. I'm all in on Tyrese Maxey, but better than Brunson. Woo!
Not right now. Not right now, but bookend this when he's 28, 29.
I'm just melting that keyboard over there. I love it. Sean Barnard, fantastic stuff. We will be live tomorrow. Make sure you tune in for the Wheel of Misfortune. As always, if you miss anything, foxphlgather.com. Good luck on your plays. Go Birds. We'll talk to you.